Does cancer change the plans for your future? Today I'm going to share a very personal story. And I hope at the end of this story that you'll give me some comments down below as to what's going on in your life. What is your story and how you can relate to what I'm going to share and what you've learned from what I'm going to share. Because all of us have been affected by cancer, either personally or with someone we love. I'm Annette Reeder, the Biblical Nutritionist, and I'm on mission because I want to help you be confident in your cooking, therefore confident in your health, and always confident in understanding how God loves you. So let's get started with my story. You see, 24 years ago, my dad, at the age of 58, decided it was time to retire. And as he and my mom were putting their plans into action, they both went for a physical for this new insurance plan that they were going to be using. You know, just the usual, and they weren't expecting anything because they were healthy, they were active, they were busy. Or so they thought. Within 5 days of thinking they were healthy and planning adventures, my mom was undergoing surgery for a mass around her heart and her thymus gland. After surgery, the surgeon came to us in kind of the plain walled waiting room, and he said, very unemotionally, well, there was nothing he could do. The tumor was so large that it was wrapped around everything that was vital to her life. It was wrapped around her heart, it was wrapped around her aorta, it was wrapped around her bronchial tubes, it was wrapped around her vocal box, everything. The tumor had just totally wrapped itself around it. And so he said, at best, the good news is this is a slow-growing tumor. Obviously, it's been there for a long time. And at best, she had a 5-year survival. How quickly my parents' plans changed, from planning adventures to now planning treatments. But one plan that kept changing was the longevity date. For years, my mom and we kept pestering the doctors with our natural solutions. And for years, the doctor says, they don't work. Well, we persevered. And for even more years, my mom and I kept up with our natural solutions. And yet the doctors kept saying they don't work. And this continued. And it continued not for 5 years, though. It continued for 19 years. Yes, 19 years. So what made the difference between the 5-year date and the 19-year adventure? It was understanding cancer and interrupting its growth cycle. Today I want to introduce you to the word angiogenesis. Angio, we hear that when we hear about angioplast surgeries, things like that. And genesis, well, we know Genesis from the first book in the Bible. Angiogenesis means the formation of new blood vessels. Now this is important to understand. So an example of angiogenesis can be seen in pregnancy. When a woman has conceived a baby and the baby plants itself into the uterus, angiogenesis is that lifeline between the mom and the baby, the umbilical cord. That's angiogenesis. And without this cord, the baby would die. And so that's just a simple example. Cancer works the same way. Tumor cells develop from the effect on our cells from processed foods, from medications, environmental chemicals like our home cleaners, air pollutants, inflammation in our body that develops from processed food or food that's what I call a lab experiment. Yeah, we don't want to be eating that. Even viruses can interrupt our cells' DNA and cause it to turn cancerous. Cancer can also be in our body for 20 years or more before it even causes an effect. But when cancer becomes stimulated by stress or an immune system failure, or basically they reach the point of outgrowing their surrounding and they need more nutrition, then the cancer sends out signals to the blood vessel nearby. And when it does this, the blood vessel responds by growing a tube or a cord to, or a vessel really is what you call a blood vessel, to the tumor. And then that tumor now has a lifeline. And that lifeline can then take those tumor cells throughout your entire body. You know, it's like when you go swimming and you hold your breath when you're underwater and eventually you can't do it any longer, so you come up for air. Well, the tumor can grow so long without this blood vessel, this lifeline, but eventually it's like, no, it needs that connection to the blood supply and to the oxygen in your body. So it grows your body grows a lifeline to it. And when this happens, there's nothing to prevent it from growing and nothing to prevent it from traveling. So what we have at our disposal in the grocery store, which is where life can happen, also death too, in our grocery stores and in our gardens. So don't forget about that, because if you can see behind me, behind these gates is into my garden, and I love to spend time there. Well, in our gardens and in our grocery stores, a food supply that actually inhibits the angiogenesis growth. Now, these foods can actually work better than the angiogenic drugs because there's no side effects. Now, let me just ask you a question, and I'm looking forward to your comments down below. I want you to list foods that you are currently eating to keep yourself healthy, to possibly inhibit cancer cells from either starting or growing in the first place. So what foods are you eating today to inhibit cancer's productivity, we'll say? If you could interrupt it, what are you eating and how do you enjoy it? So I just want to see your comments down below. Now let me get back to the story. So one of the foods that are anti-angiogenic is cruciferous vegetables. And if you follow my teaching at all, you know I am a key component. I am just a cheerleader for cruciferous vegetables. And the kale plant that I found in the grocery store one day, and it had the beautiful little yellow flower on it, and it just reminded me so much of why they're called cruciferous. And it's because of the word crucifix. And the crucifix is because of the cross. These 12 plant families of the cruciferous family are the most health-promoting foods you can eat, especially when it comes to cancer. Okay, so that story in the grocery store is one of my favorites, and I go into a lot more detail with it on some of the other talkings and videos. So you may need to catch up with those. Be sure to, make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel so that you can know when I'm posting new videos and when I'm teaching you new content. Okay, once again, back to the story. So cruciferous vegetables, they have a unique sulfur-containing compounds that are responsible for that pungent flavor that sometimes you may not like the vegetable for, the strong aromas that come from these vegetables. You see, when there's cell walls of these plants, like we'll talk about the kale, the Brussels sprouts, the broccoli, cauliflower, these are all cruciferous. And you can learn more about cruciferous in the Treasures of Healthy Living Nutrition Manual. We spent a lot of time talking about it there. Okay. So when the cell walls of these plants are broken by either blending them up or chopping them, a chemical reaction occurs that converts the sulfur-containing compounds into an army, yes, an army, let me say it a third time, of compounds that are proven and powerful immune-boosting effects and anti-cancer activity. Okay. That's an army. That's an army working for you. You have your own national defense, and God is the one who created it for you. So don't ever forget where the thanks go. Now, including cancers of the breast, the digestive tract, the prostate, and the lung. Okay, those are some of our primary cancers that most people are dealing with. Breast and prostate are the huge. Digestive tract, that's huge with cancers that are happening. And age is no indicator of when somebody's going to get these cancers either, which is really sad. So these compounds in these cruciferous vegetables, they inhibit angiogenesis. They turn off the blood vessel. They turn off the blood supply to that tumor. So cruciferous vegetables, the studies have proven that they're twice as powerful as other plant foods. In population studies, a 20% increase in plant foods generally compounds to a 20% decrease in cancer rates. Okay, so you increase your vegetable intake by 20%. The studies are proving you can have almost a 20% decrease in cancer rates. You ready to go eat a salad? Yes, I think so. But here, hang on. When you increase your vegetable intake by 20% of cruciferous vegetables, all right, here comes the cross, then it actually corresponds to a 40%, double decrease in cancer rates. Now you're really ready to go grab some kale and just start munching on it. Now, here's another study I want to share with you. 28 servings of vegetables per week decreases prostate cancers by 33%. Once again, God's foods will inhibit man's problems, okay? All right, but here, okay, so 28 servings of vegetables per week decreases prostate cancer by 33%. That's amazing, but it gets better. Just three servings of cruciferous vegetables per week decreases prostate cancer by 41%. And I'll put some links down below to these studies so that you can just check it out, make sure I'm telling you the truth. Okay, so one or more servings of cabbage per week reduces the occurrence of pancreatic cancer by 38%. And so in our conferences that we teach around the country, we teach how to make a power salad. In fact, we'll make this a video coming up shortly. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel and don't forget to ring the bell next to it because that way you get notified every time we post. Okay, so cabbage is an amazing food. I've even made a video on making your own stir-fry cabbage breakfast with some scrambled eggs in it. Oh, I love that. Okay, well, this is just to encourage you to add in the cruciferous vegetables because they interrupt the angiogenetic effect of the tumor. Now, my story, my mom is no longer with us, but those 19 years were blessed with 4 weddings of her grandchildren, 8 new great-grandchildren being born, 5 Caribbean and Alaskan cruises, travels abroad to Israel and Australia, and a bookshelf full of photo albums of all her adventures. It's worth it to add in the cruciferous vegetables to your meal plan. Now, even though cancer changed the plans of my parents and my plans as well, because I wish she was still here, it was an active decision to look to God's foods to stabilize and slow the tumors whenever possible. There is so much to learn about God's foods and how they work, how to cook with them to benefit your body, and how God's foods show us His love for us. Man's lab experiments only show man's love for himself and how to make money and how to cause us problems. So when we're looking for food, go to God's Word, go to God's garden, find the foods that He created for us, and there we will learn to thrive. Our body will be excited. So to learn more about this, I really want you to subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to right down below, ring the bell. That way you'll get notified every time I post a new video. I truly desire to help you learn how to cook healthy, how to be healthy, and how to understand God's love for you. And if you want to learn more, just go to the website, thebiblicalnutritionist.com. There's also a Facebook page, The Biblical Nutritionist. Be sure and like that as well. Remember, I'm on mission to keep you on mission, and together we can stay strong until God calls us home. I'm Annette Reeder, The Biblical Nutritionist. Thank you for watching.